Anyways, long story short, on Twitter, and this is something anybody could do, if you guys know your clients and you know where they're living and working and conversations they're having, you know, a lot of the tools actually allow you to keep tabs on your clients. And I know it sounds creepy and everything like that. Don't use it for like negative things, but if you can actually inject yourself into make someone's day better, they're really, really valuable. So a little while ago, this woman, who's a friend of mine now, at the time she was just a customer for FreshBooks, company I do a lot of work with, she tweeted on Twitter that she got stood up for a blind date. You know, it's kind of uncool. She was upset. So I tweeted right back to her as the company, not myself personally, just said, we would never stand you up. And, you know, and that's just sort of a nice thing, kind of made her day. One thing you guys should think about when you're doing things, and one of the things I do, and this is sort of, you know, how I've built a career and got a reputation, is you do that nice thing and always take it a step further. So I actually followed up our little "we would never stand you up" by sending the woman flowers with a note saying, "We think you're awesome. You're friends at FreshBooks." Okay, she in turn wrote a whole blog post about it because, you know, the tweet was something that sort of made her day, but the flowers were just, you know, that was taking the next step. When you guys are keeping your relationships with your clients, always try to take the next step. And this isn't something you have to spend a lot of money on. I always tell people, and I've been doing this for, you know, a decade now. And one of the things, and this is my other big, you know, takeaway, red light flashing, people love things that don't cost a lot of money. You don't have to spend a lot of money. A lot of times people love the charming things, the folksy things. Send a handwritten note to somebody, or, you know, drop them a postcard, or, you know, like, you don't always have to be thinking, you know, big flower arrangements are a lot of money, or edible, you know, plant things. Save that stuff for, you know, closing of a house when you actually have money coming in. But part of your job, if you decide to do it this way, is, you know, I would spend an hour a day trying to figure out how you can do cool things for your existing client base. And those cool things may be something as little as an introduction from another client that you're working with. These people may work in a similar industry, or they may work in some sort of fashion that there's mutual benefit for these two people to know each other. And they will remember where that introduction came from, and you will cement yourself as being, you know, really, really valuable to them. The bottom, another example of sending flowers to somebody, and a baseball card. This may not really apply, so I'm just going to skip it. But if you guys want to hear the baseball story, I'll tell you later. So again, it's all about getting to the love stage. And the way you get to the love stage is just constantly doing things. Never act desperate. Nobody loves desperation. But you know, you always have to do things. So why do you want to be in love with your clients? Or why do you want your clients to love you? Because people talk about love. Whether you realize it or not, love spreads fast. People love to be in love. Love is infectious, and people talk about love. People will talk about the things you do. So if you do really interesting things, people will remember it. So how do you get here? And again, we're going to pretend the her is your client. But you know, you treat people well, you'll be rewarded. You keep them interested. That's really important, especially, you know, you guys may go 2 or 3 years before you get repeat business. But that doesn't mean, it doesn't mean you have to always be in people's face. But if you can drop in on somebody every quarter with something interesting, people will remember that. And I don't know what the time limit is. You guys will just sort of know from trial and error. Show you care and show what you're up to. Always let people know what you're doing. And this is more than just sending the postcard out with all the homes you've sold. Let them know something just a tiny bit personal and not something really invasive. Just let people actually see you as a real person. Handsome is not a substitute for personality. I say this all the time. People love dealing with people. You have to sort of let them know a little bit about who you are, but save it for whatever you're comfortable with sharing. And sometimes, unfortunately, when you're dealing with love, you're going to have to deal with jealousy as well. You're going to lose customers. Happens all the time. Can't really make a big deal of it. Sort of, you know, rip the Band-Aid off and move on. So in the words of Heavy D, and I know by looking around this room, everyone knows who Heavy D is. Now that you found love, what are you going to do with it? So you're at the love stage with your customers. How do you actually do really cool and unusual things for them? It's always taking the extra step. Really quickly, promotion. I did a promotion on Twitter, and this, you know, don't ever copy what I do. Don't take what I say as absolute law. sort of digest it, figure out what works for you guys, what your comfort level is, and how much. But really quickly, did a promotion on Twitter where I was offering to give away $1 million was the first prize if anybody could name the best song ever written, and second prize was a box of cereal. So thankfully, no one won the first prize. But a lot of people got the boxes of cereal. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people entered this contest. Now, we actually had a song picked, and if anybody had guessed it, we would have just changed the song. But by taking, and this is a year or two ago when you can get away with this stuff. I always work for startups, so we don't worry about lawyers and things like that. But the idea of taking the extra step. So what I did was we bought these personal-sized boxes of cereal. I opened every single box, and inside I put my business card, and we sent about 200 of these out, and 25 of them actually got an iTunes gift card. So a lot of people didn't even realize that there was anything in the box. They just thought it was super cool that somebody actually followed through and sent them cereal. But the people who actually opened it saw that there was something a little bit more. We glued them shut, so it wasn't obvious that there was something inside. But this got a lot of attention online. This was something that people talked about. I'm a word-of-mouth marketer. Everything I do is to try to start a conversation, try to start any sort of reaction, good or bad. I'm okay with bad reactions, because if somebody will say something negatively about you, it means they're actually passionate enough to talk about you. And if someone says something bad, it's really easy to convert them to being really, really positive, because it usually is just a bit of a misunderstanding. This generated a lot of conversation on Twitter, Facebook, all over the place. People were doing videos. I don't know if you've ever seen an unboxing video, but anytime there's a new iPhone or something, and I don't get it, but people will actually set up a video camera and unwrap their iPhone and turn it on for the first time. And people love that stuff. There was an unboxing video of their cereal box. This is something I'm going to let you guys decide whether or not this applies to the real estate industry. But when I'm doing a promotion or anything, everything I do, I want to involve my customers. I always want to put my customers first around my brand, because I think that makes my brand more human, and it creates a better connection I have with my customers. So there's a woman named Krista Nair who is in Cincinnati, Ohio. She does a lot of the same stuff I do. She's a digital marketing consultant. We did this promotion at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, the Interactive and Music Festival, where to promote an online newspaper or a news service, we actually created a newspaper every day. At midnight, I pulled all the headlines from the day before. We created a brand new newspaper, printed overnight, and it was delivered under everyone's door. Hired a bunch of college kids, and we actually did door drops. Every day was a new cover, and she happened to be very helpful. Having us pull it together, she is a customer, put her on the cover. I go out of my way to actually put our customers first, because I remember there's an old saying, and I don't remember who said it, but and I don't know if it really applies, but I'm going to throw it out and you guys can decide. As a company, you take care of your employees take care of your customers take care of your business. If you're always interacting with your customers, you're always doing nice things for them, they will take care of your business and you will be profitable. So as an entrepreneur, which essentially is what everybody in this room is, when do you start this stuff? Does anyone have an idea? Exactly, right away. I make a challenge to you people to do something really unique. What that is entirely up to you. It's whatever you're comfortable with. I'm never going to tell someone to put themselves in a situation they're not comfortable. I hope that something as small as this inspires you. These are two bottles of mustard. Andy, I know so many Andys, this is horrible. Andy Cernovitz is considered one of the world's best word-of-mouth marketers before I self-appointed took his title. But he was somebody I really wanted to meet, and I did a little research and I found out that he really loves a certain type of mustard that's only available at the St. Lawrence Market in Toronto. He lives in Chicago. So I went and I bought him 2 bottles of this mustard. And the story would have been great. Again, sent him the mustard, he's happy. Instead, I took a Sharpie and I wrote personal messages all over the bottle. So every time he reaches into his fridge, He's not only going to be reminded that some guy sent him the mustard, he's reminded I sent him the mustard. This is what I talk about, the little folksy, charming things you can do that people actually really respond to. So my challenge, hopefully, is I'm going to inspire you guys to do something interesting, whatever that may be, and I'm not going to put any limitations. So doing stuff like this takes effort and time, but isn't love worth it? And so is spending time with your community. When I was at Zoocasa, we took 25 people who were quote-unquote fans of ours to a Blue Jay game. You'd be amazed, how excited the Blue Jays were to sell a few tickets in the upper decks. We took them, we spent time with, and this may sound really callous, but at the same time, we were trying to get to know our customers. They were also giving us really, really great feedback that would have cost us a lot of money if we did a focus group. So, things always come out, like positive things always come out from spending time with the people who you're working with. So in closing, and I always say in closing, because my mom wanted me to be a lawyer. Building communities is just one tiny part of an online digital strategy, but I think it's one of the easiest to get your toes wet in. So if you guys can dabble, but building communities is like making love to a customer. It can never, ever be a campaign. Once you get in, you sort of have to, stick with it. You can't, just sort of try it for a little bit, realize it's not for you. So I would say do your research, figure out if it's you, because people will notice if you all of a sudden disappear. Building communities will deliver incredible ROI, because this is about human connections, and your business is all based on human connections. These initiatives should be done by you personally. You shouldn't outsource them to an agency, because nobody is going to care more about your customers than you. This is your livelihood. This is how you make a living. And if you are going to give it to somebody in your company, in your brokerage, or wherever you work, I say, and I get a lot of people who give me pushback on this, I don't think this should be a junior role, because you're actually giving people access to your most important, your sense of revenue. These are your customers. This is where your future business is going to come. This is where your existing referral base is going to come. Really think very long and hard about who you get to do this. Make sure they know what they're talking about, and make sure they care as much as you guys do. I've talked about why it shouldn't be a junior role. Final point, I promise. Live the 4 E's. You guys, word of mouth marketing may sound like this really daunting thing, but if you can just remember 4 words that start with the letter E, this is the backbone for every social media campaign, every really great word of mouth marketing campaign. Okay, it's execute on extraordinary experiences every day. The things that I think are the most important are the extraordinary and the everyday. You have to be consistent with this, because I guarantee you nobody's going to notice what you're doing for the first little while. But it's continued, wow, or whatever you want to call it. People are going to take notice, people are going to respond, and people are going to really, really connect with this stuff. Because like I said, it could be anything. Don't think about, doing the cereal or the mustard or things like that. Your brain might not work the same way mine does. Just think about doing something a little bit further than anyone else is doing, and try to add a little personal appeal to it. So I'm going to actually save questions for the panel, but if you guys ever want to get in touch with me, here's all my contact information, always available. I'm going to be here for a while, so you can talk to me after. But that is my time, and I'll be on the panel. You can ask me or anybody any questions you have. So thank you.